Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace here, dropping in on you. I don't plan on being too long, but I do want to take the time to uh, address something that I think is actually tragic, but it is extremely common in our culture. Um, Before I do that, I want to remind you that right now at the Visionetics Institute, we are doing one-time free business breakthrough sessions and free rapid change breakthrough sessions for individuals. I don't have the breakthrough questionnaire, but if you want to get the business breakthrough questionnaire, you can shoot me an inbox message requesting it, and I'll give it to you, complete it, return it to the email address that is provided. Someone from the support team will contact you and schedule a time for your 30-minute breakthrough session. Some crazy things can be accomplished in these sessions. For the people who have already participated, if you happen to be watching, you want to weigh in, you can let people know how to go. First and foremost, one of the things that I've always shared with you and that I always promote is always bring more value than what you're asking to be compensated for. So the people who have participated to this point will tell you that every session went over 30 minutes. And I do this with my clients, period. If I promise you 16 sessions, you'll end up with 18. It's just the way that I ensure that I over deliver in what it is that I promise. But if you're looking for uh, an avenue, a launching pad, just somewhere to kind of get an idea, whatever it is, if you're looking to make a significant step towards changing the results you're getting in life and you need somewhere to start, I sign up for one of these sessions. Like I say, it's a free breakthrough session, 30 minutes. Obviously, you're not going to get everything done you need it for 30 minutes, but you will be surprised that something you can pick up that you can carry with you the rest of your life that will help you get to where it is you're trying to go. With that being said, I'm going to move in. Like I said, fill out the questionnaire. The entire write-up on it is the questionnaire is in there. Fill it out, email it back. Somebody from the support team will contact you within 24 hours to schedule your session, and we'll take it from there. And yes, yours truly is conducting every last one of these sessions. I'm going crazy right now, but it's something that I wanted to do. I wanted to reach people who were not necessarily in my target audience, and so this is my way of doing it. Anyway, the tragedy of living in the shadows of someone else's truth. We live in a culture where that is extremely common, where we tend to operate through the lenses and paradigms of others. We tend to give great gravity to the opinions of others and how they define us, how they view us. So much of our self-concept and self-image is based upon the uh, uh, reflected appraisals uh, of others. A reflected appraisal is just what someone else assesses uh, you to be, or your capacity, your potential, your beauty, your intelligence. All of it is some sort of uh, uh, unicentric idea of what is, or standardized idea of what is, and it moves you away from what you're designed to be, your natural proclivities, your natural self, your natural beauty, your natural truth. We look and we've been passed down primarily to our primary label givers, which are our parents, our teachers, and our close peers, passed down limiting paradigms, limiting beliefs, and these limitations control how we think and expect and operate and interact with the world. From everything from relationships, business, finance, uh, social engagement, social progression, personal growth, all of those things are tied into these limitations. And the problem that I see more than anything in my personal assessment of the situation is not that you have so many people operating under these illusions of limits that don't really exist. They exist and they become real. Remember, what is real and what is true is not necessarily what is factual. And when people don't gain an understanding of the difference between facts, real and truth, you don't get it. See, what's real to you may not be real to the next person, but if it's real to you, your behavior reflects that reality. So it doesn't matter if it can't be proved factually. If it's believed, it becomes real. That's the power of the mind. The mind can make things that don't have factual substantiation become true reality. That's how people create things that don't exist. That's how you get things in this world now that people didn't even dream of 100 years ago, by people stepping outside of limitations. But check this out. The greatest tragedy, I'm getting back to this part, the greatest tragedy that I see in all of it is not just that people are operating in these self-imposed or proxied limitations, it's that very few people even question the limitations. To me, that's the tragedy. You're not even going to question the limitation. We, almost without any resistance whatsoever, accept limitations placed on us by others. We live our lives walking in a truth that was created and handed down to us. When we possess inside of ourselves the capacity to design and create that thing we desire, that thing we need, that thing that's a part of who we are, and to do it in our own unique way. I had a reputation, and I still have a reputation. As a matter of fact, it's one of my brothers still calls me renegade. That if the group, whether it was my siblings, my cousins, my friends, was going right, I was going left. And I developed a reputation for kind of just being an oddball and being a hardhead in some instances. If you ask my parents, it was just hard-headed. But matter of fact, I have a lot of ink on me. I have a lot of tattoos. And the biggest one by far is the one that goes all the way across my back. And it reads, "Renegade, ride or die for life." And it expresses my mentality. I have just learned that when I'm in a situation and it's a bunch of people going in a direction, unless I hear gunshots, I probably don't want to go in that direction. Because when you start doing exceptional, when you start doing extraordinary, when you start doing phenomenal, you find that you're operating in rare air. It's not a lot of people doing it. Not that they can't, but they've accepted the limitations. They've accepted what they heard when they were 4, 5, 6. And that's why I'm real hard when I'm counseling parents. Stop telling that baby to stop daydreaming. Stop telling that child to get his head out of the clouds. Stop telling that child that he's not being realistic. Stop telling that child that doesn't really fit them. Let that child find themselves. Let that child learn their passion. Let that child examine their unique genius. Let that child be a visionary and a dreamer. That's a part of the growth process. That's how you set your gate and your stage in life. But we live in a standardized world where we want everybody to do the same thing the same way. So when someone steps out of line grammatically, we criticize them. When someone steps outside of the line in their dress or their attire, we criticize them because we've been given what I call a Eurocentric idea, which is considered to be a universal idea of what is, what's beautiful, what's smart, what's intelligent, what's professional, what's classy. All of it's given to us through this one lens. And then we're also given our position and our place through that same lens. Well, if I come from this background, then this is my lot in life. And we take those limitations. Why? Because we are social by nature. Mammals are social by nature. And we're at the top of that chain, but we're social by nature. And because we're social by nature, we tend to look at the construct around us and see how everyone else is operating, and we find our place. When we grow up in a situation where nobody's thriving financially, where marriages are ending at a high rate, where crime and violence is the norm, we build our lives and we shape our paradigms around that, and we accept that reality as our limitations. And then we will see what we view as anomalies, those few that are able to escape it, be it by athletic talent, entertainment talent, business acumen, whatever it is, they get out. But we look at them and say, okay, that's just the anomaly. They had this, or somebody did this for them. It's always a reason and an excuse for why they were able to get away from it, and the limitations still apply. A matter of fact, how much of what you were given in the first 10 years of your life have you truly challenged? See, I'm a person that believes if it's true, if it's real truth, it'll stand up to challenge. If it can't stand up to be challenged, if it's offended by challenge, if it becomes indignant and irate based on challenge, then it lacks truth. It lacks authenticity, but most importantly, it lacks integrity. And that is where we're at. If your reality is really your reality, then it will stand up to you challenging it. But what you will find is that the more you challenge your reality, the more you find you have greater capacity to change it. There's no greater tragedy to me in this world than living life in the shadows of someone else's truth for you. How many right now are doing something somebody else told them that was their best bet? I know that sounds good, but you probably want to try this. It's more stable. It's safer. It has greater longevity. Well, see, the problem with longevity is a lot of times it hasn't made place for evolution. And normally you can find longevity in the lower rungs of accomplishment and achievement. What do I mean by that? I mean that when you look at things and a person's been doing the same thing the same way the whole time, they haven't made a whole lot of progress. They're pretty much right where they always were, with maybe a 5 to 7% variation one way or another over time, fluctuating up and down. Why? Because they got caught up in having something that would work for them forever, that they never thought that they would outgrow it. They never planned to be better. They never worked on evolving it to something greater. They never took it and said, this is only a step towards where I'm going. It's not the entire process. It's when you sit up and say, you know what, maybe there isn't any longevity in this. Maybe it does come with some risk, but I'm willing to take the risk, and I'm willing to evolve into whatever I need to evolve in, to grow into whatever I need to grow in, to become whatever I need to become to get the next thing, because I'm not meant to stand still. Poverty is not my lot in life. Suffering is not my lot in life. Living lonely and frustrated is not my lot in life. Feeling helpless and unable to exact change or move the world around me is not my lot in life. That's not why I'm here. That's not what my capacity tells me. That's not the indication of my design. My design is indicative of my purpose, and my design says I can do some pretty special things. But you've got to challenge the limitations. Well, if you don't have ready capital, you can't start a business. Bull. Businesses are being started every day with zero currency. Now, I won't say zero capital, because I am a personal believer that your greatest form of capital is your resourcefulness, not the resources you have access to, but your resourcefulness. Your resourcefulness is that part of you that is inherent within you, if you will access it and free it, that you find what you need. It doesn't always exist. Say, for instance, prime example, why you don't always have to have currency or capital to get things done. Say, for instance, I need someone to come in and do a branding campaign for one of my companies. And I'm cash strapped at the time, because maybe I got a lot of money flowing through my companies, or I'm in the middle of an expansion project, or I just purchased a new business, or there's a bunch of reasons why you can get cash strapped and have a business that's profitable. Everything is not A, B, C, and D, like people like to make it. Well, if they were that successful, you never know what a person is doing and how hard they're stretching themselves to get where they're going. You don't know the sacrifices an individual is making at any given time to reach a certain goal. They may be generating $1 million a year, but they may be reinvesting 950,000 of that million back into what they're doing, which is a very smart thing to do. I'm not big at this particular point in my life and understanding what I've learned over and over in time. I'm not big in liquid assets. The more liquid your assets, the more likely you are to spend them than invest them. And so that's my mindset. But just say I am. So say I need this, but I'm cash strapped. Pick up the phone. Hey, look, how's it going? You know, I see that your business is doing this. You're doing an awesome job. Look, I really would like to talk to you about working with you. Hey, I've got this great new program I would love for you to try out. It's about coaching or business, business coaching, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm flowing with you right now. I just thought of this. So y'all work with me here. But you call them and you say, look, how about I get you to do A, B, and C, and D for me? It's called bartering. And how about I get you to do these particular tasks for me on a branding campaign, and I come in and I coach you on expanding your growth. And you exchange. You make sure they get everything they need from you and more. You always give more. You bring more value than what you're asking for. You get whatever they charge for their branding campaign. You give them that plus 10% in your coaching or in your. If you are a lawn guy in your landscaping, if you are a contractor in your construction and your fencing or whatever it is you're doing, find a way to meet a need they need. Find somebody that has a need that can bring you what you want, has a need for what you have, and you exchange. It works more than you know. People do it all the time. People exchange things without ever exchanging cash and get places. It's about being resourceful more than it is about having resources. Resourcefulness is the greatest form of wealth outside of the mind. The mind is the greatest form of wealth, and next is resourcefulness, and the mind creates the resourcefulness. All of this is what I'm saying is all of that comes when you start to challenge the limits, when you start to challenge someone else's opinion of you, when you start to challenge the limitations that have been bequeathed to you by others who unwittingly don't know any better, pass down their limiting beliefs to you. And what you have to be willing to do is sit up and say, well, why can't I? I mean, what real reason can't I? If this person did it and that person can do it, what makes me less capable? Now, I may not be able to do it the same way they did it, but I can do it. And it's about understanding that the only true limitations that you have in this life are the ones you create with your own mind and the ones you accept from others with your mind. When you step back and you stop allowing your experiences, your engagements with other people to set your parameters of performance, and you start going after the things you're passionate about with specificity, with definiteness of purpose, with a sure intent and focus on what it is. I'm gonna give you something right now. Everybody that believes that there's something more out there for you, I want you to work with me. I want you to actually participate with me right now. I want you to grab you a pen and a paper. I'm going to wait a second. Grab you a pen and a paper. This is only going to take a couple of minutes, but it's important. I'm going to show you how quickly you can turn something. Think about the thing right now. If there were no limitations that you would want to have, want to do, or want to be, think about it. Become very clear about what that is. Then write that down. And then put a date on it. Write it down, put a date on it. That means you're going to make it real. When you schedule it, it becomes a personal commitment. Write it down. Now, here's the important part. See, we got a lot of wishers, a lot of fantasizers, and a lot of people who have wishful thinking. Wishful thinking and fantasizing is not the same as visualization and entertaining a dream. And I think the word dream has been used so much that it's lost its gravity, its intensity, and its true meaning in the sense that I like to use it. When you talk about a dream, you're talking about a visual expression of purpose, a visual expression of definiteness of direction, a visual expression of a blueprint of your life and how you're going to move it. And the thing about your dream is not something that's just laid to you and given to you and you can't work with it. Your dream is given to you as a foundational blueprint, and then you take it, you expand it, you explore it, you open it, you stretch it, you push it, you pull it, and you find all of these other doors that begin to open up in it. And it's so much more there, but it starts with that first thing. Now, the difference between visions and dreams and wishes and fantasies is that wishes and fantasies are just entertaining something you really don't believe is possible. But see, when you talk about visions and dreams, those are things that you sit up and say, that's a part of my future. That's a part of my destiny. So I'm going to write it down. I'm telling you, the power of visualization is unbelievable. Write it down. One sentence, write it down. Now, write down your commitment to it. What are you willing to do yourself that doesn't require somebody else coming in and doing it for you or making you do? What are you willing to do without fail to pay for that destiny you just wrote down? That's the distance you're willing to travel to have what you say you want. What is it? Is it constant growth through reading and engagement? Is it constant improvement in the understanding of, if it's about financing and understanding the financial world? You can master the financial world without attending one university, one class, or whatever, if you really commit to it. If you commit to accepting and taking on new paradigms, you can completely change the way you look at, view, and operate with money. The same thing with business ownership, the same way with learning, the same way with relationships, the same way with parenting, all of it. Anything in any part of your life where you are right now struggling that you want to see better, you have the power within yourself to change it, but it begins with you sitting down and becoming clear about what it is you really want. Ambiguity is highly frustrating to achieving the phenomenal, the extraordinary, all these great things that are possible in your life. Ambiguity will really get you. When you don't have a true definiteness, purpose, true clear image of what it is you're going for, something that if somebody asks you within 3 sentences, you can tell them what your destiny is, and they will not only hear it, they will know exactly what it is. It will become an image to them. Then you haven't clarified your image. You haven't clarified your destiny. And there lies a lot of your problem. Let me explain something to you. When you don't have a definiteness of purpose, when you don't have a clarity of where it is you're going, when you can't see clearly what your destination is, how can you take aim? How can you sit up and align yourself and set your path when you're not even clear where it is that you're going? So what happens? You wander in the wilderness. You wander around. You try this. You try that. You hear people whispering. That's the next great trend. All of this. A lot of why you have experienced the frustrations you've experienced at this point is because you're trying a bunch of stuff that really isn't where you're trying to go. Find you. Learn your truth. Discover your truth, your reality. Unveil who you are. Answer to the name you give yourself. Stop allowing other people to define you. Stop answering to the random opinions of others about who you are. Determining yourself that you can. Tell yourself that the word can't will no longer apply to you. Anything that you conceive in your mind that you desire to have, you will set in motion with clarity and purpose and with vision. You will write it down, put it on a wall. You will make pictures of it. You will focus on it. It will become a part of your obsession. It's not until you become that committed that you'll ever really truly experience the providence of the universe. See, the universe is designed to respond to this energy. You can call it a substance, as Wallace D. Wattles. You can call it faith, as Napoleon Hill. You can call it trust and belief. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But when you truly set your mind on something deep inside without any evidence outside of what you conceived in your mind, you know it's possible. When all you need is the vision inside of your mind to believe in yourself and what you're capable of, that's when providence begins to move. When you make that decision, you know what? I can and I will. And here goes. At that moment, the universe says, I'm going to bring it to you. Meet me halfway. Certain doors will open that have always been there. Some will blow your mind. I can't tell you how many times I've been engaging people on a consistent basis casually, and then make a commitment to do something new. And once I start that commitment, all of a sudden we engage each other and the engagement is different. You know, instead of just a, hey, how you doing? I'm good, have a nice day, goes to, hey, I noticed. And then a conversation strikes up and you find out this person is just going to take you one step closer, or maybe all the way into whatever it is you're doing. I can't tell you how many times that happened, but it never happens until you sit up and you say, you know what, I can and I will, and here goes. And you step out there, you go out there. Are you going to engage risk? Absolutely. You're going to engage risk. You're going to have risk. You can't talk to Warren Buffett. You can't talk to Ray Dalio. You can't talk to David Swenson. You can't talk to Jack Vogel. I'm talking about the major players at the top that's doing this thing in the investment game. And they tell you, well, don't take risks. Now, what they will tell you is they are very, very risk aware. One of the first things they do is assess how much they stand to lose. They look at how much they stand to lose more than they look at how much they stand to gain. But what they do is they find the minimal risk for the greatest gain. That's life. So you look up and say, okay, this is what I can tell you. If I don't take no risk, I probably won't lose much, but I won't gain anything. Now, if I take a little risk, so what you find is they use something that's called asymmetric risk reward in investing. I'm talking about the heavy hitters, not talking about traders and everybody playing. I'm talking about the heavy hitters, everybody worth more than double digits in billions investing. And they use something called asymmetric risk reward. And what it says is where most people have been trained to believe that you have to risk a lot to earn a little in investing, they do the exact opposite. How many of you heard, man, if you can just get, if you can get 10% or 15%, if you get 20%, oh my God, that's unbelievable. Well, they're the opposite. They look for things to where they're going to, number one, they're going to be diverse in how they engage their investment. So they're not going to have all their eggs in one basket. They're going to invest across assets. But what they're going to do is say, okay, instead of looking for something where I can make 10%, 20%, I'm going to look for a 1-to-5 ratio or a 1-to-10 ratio. I know that Jack Vogel says he does a 1-to-5 ratio. That means that for every dollar he invests, he expects to make 5. What that does is, if you imagine, let's make it easier, a 1-to-10 ratio, and Ray Dalio does that. So you have a 1-to-10 ratio. That means for every dollar you invest, you plan on making 10. So you got 10 different investments. Do you realize you could be wrong on 10 with an equal investment, equal return scenario, be wrong on 10, be right on 1, and break even? Now, the average one of these guys are normally right about 60% of the time. So guess they're winning. Why? Simply because of asymmetric risk reward. So it's not in not taking risk, it's in managing risk. You're going to have risk. In other words, don't go out and run across the freeway to get to the other side because they're passing out watermelons. That's not a good asymmetric risk reward. The risk far outweighs the reward. But, so you get it. You want to make sure you're taking risks that justify, if I lose, it was still worth it. I'm going to gain something out of the experience. And that's going to be life. You're going to have these points where you don't get what you thought you were going to get at that moment, but you gain the experience. Edison experienced that over and over and over again. with all the different failures that he went through trying to get his inventions to work, he learned, some explosives devices came out of his failures to do something else, all these different things. And you get all of this stuff across the board with anyone else. The thing is, if you don't try, you don't get anything. And you've got to get your mind out of it. But you've got to go back to what I was saying initially. Look, how can I close this out? We use a lot of sayings, adages, sayings, euphemisms and things of that nature to express different points of view of life, to express different truths. One of the things we say all the time is your life, live it, but most of us don't. We live within a box that was created for us by someone else, who may be also operating inside of the box or may benefit by us being in the box while they operate outside of it. What I can tell you for certain is ain't nothing going on inside of the box. Everything that's happening that has value is happening outside of the box. And yes, it's scary initially when you step outside the box because it's such a big world out there and there's so many different things that you have to engage and so many different things that you don't know because you've been inside the box. But the world will expose you to the things that will train you. And if you take on the right mindset, even those things that seem like they come to harm will train, empower you. There's nothing that can destroy you because you were built for this. You have to understand what I'm trying to get you to understand, get you to see right now. You were built for this. You literally are designed and built to go through whatever life brings your way. There's nothing that comes your way that if you stand up to it, you can't get through it. The worst case scenario is you die. And I will tell you right now, it's a common saying and I live by it. I'd rather die standing up than to live on my knees. So if I go up against something that's really, truly big and I end up meeting my demise, that's the way I want to meet it. I want to meet it on my feet, fighting for what I believe in, standing for what I want, going after my visions, going after my dreams, living life on my terms, than to sit down inside of a box on my knees and call myself safe when I'm not even handling the reins of my own destiny. Oh no, I'll take my chances out there outside of the box. I'll take my bumps and my bruises outside of the box. And at the end of my life, we'll sit down and we'll talk about and tally up what happened inside the box with you and outside of the box with me. So much of what I've been able to do in my life was because I did not want to be in a box. I didn't want to be in the box in what I wore every day. I didn't want to be in a box in the way I handled myself in presenting my image. I wanted to be me. The guy in the cap and the hoodie most of the time, and in the summertime in a t-shirt. That's me. That's who I am. Now, are there times when I have to clean up and dress up? And I like to believe I do it pretty good. I'd like to believe I clean up well. But that's not my defining. My thing is, I'm going to bring something to the table. As my mentor told me when he first engaged me back 30 years ago. When he engaged me, he said, "You are rebellious in every way socially. You don't want to shave. You want to wear tattoos. You won't take those earrings out. You got this necklace on back. I was young then. You got all this stuff going on. But you want to be a businessman in a world that demands that you be clean cut, clean shaven, well dressed, and all these other things that you just don't have a desire for." He says, "Well, there is a way." And I say, what's the way? Tell me the way. That's what I need to know. Tell me that. What's the way? He says, there's an old saying, he who has the gold makes the rules. And when you have what people need and you deliver it at a high level, you get to set the parameters through which they engage you. When you can show up and deliver, people will stop looking at what you're wearing and start looking at what you bring to the table, but you're going to have to deliver. And so that's it. Get the gold. Be the person in your industry, be the person in your business, be the person that deals with what you deal with, the way you handle solutions that you provide for people. Be that person with the gold, and then the world opens up. He who has the gold makes the rules. Get you some gold in some place. Start with a little piece of gold somewhere. And once you start to establish your own rules of operation and you get to start to experience the true freedom of being who you are and walking in your truth and not someone else's definitions or demands of you, oh man. Once you experience it, you're not going back. Once you experience that freedom, you'll die for it. That's how powerful and liberating that freedom is. To wake up every morning and know what you're doing for you. And that while others will benefit from what you're doing, it will come back to you. I mean, I can't even explain it. I can't express it. But what I'm telling you is there's no greater tragedy than living your entire life in someone else's truth. Someone else wrote your narrative. You don't even have the pen that's writing the story of your life in your hand. You're constantly looking to someone else to tell you it's okay. You're constantly looking to someone else to tell you that that's what you can do. You're looking to someone else to validate the possibilities in your life. You're looking to someone else to validate what you're capable of at any given moment. You're looking for someone else to say it's okay or it's a good idea to start your own business. You're looking to someone else to tell you that it's okay for you to start a school for inner city youth, or to start a sports program for inner city youth, or to do whatever it is you're dreaming and burning on the inside to do, and you're waiting on somebody else to give you the okay and the white flag to take off. You better learn how to look within yourself and study your own design, to study who you are, to study your giftedness, to look at yourself from a subjective position, not what other people are saying, but what you know about yourself. A lot of you are sitting on genius because you're too uncomfortable to unleash it. Why? Because you got a bunch of other people that's operating inside of this box paradigm. And it makes you uncomfortable to speak because they look at you funny when you start to talk. They talk about you think you know it all when you start to talk. They talk about they think that you think you better than everybody when you start to talk. When you start to talk about your dreams and your visions, they get uncomfortable. So instead of making them uncomfortable, you sit on your genius. You are not required to shrink back from your possibilities, your existence, your true reality in order to make someone else comfortable. That is never a requirement. People are either going to step up or step away. And you got to be okay with either. You can't ever be what anybody you love needs you to be until you be what you were designed to be, what you need you to be. How can you make somebody else happy when you're not happy with you? How can you fulfill someone else when you don't feel self-fulfilled in your own work, in your own passions, in your own accomplishments, in your own position, in your own state of existence? You can't be what everybody needs. You're trying to fill voids in other lives while you got a big gaping hole in your own. And you're wondering why you're battling depression. You're trying to answer to someone else's demands. And you've left your own hungers unanswered, your own personal visions unanswered, your dreams unanswered, unaddressed. Again, there's absolutely nothing you can't do in this life. But you're going to have to step from underneath the box paradigm and start viewing life through a new lens that says, if I can conceive it in my mind and then desire that I shall have it and I commit to it, nothing in this world will stop me. I will go the distance. It's that simple. It's that simple. Question: are you willing to go the distance? Because see, everything worth having has a price tag. See, life will pay you whatever price you demand of it. It will give you whatever you demand of it, but it requires something of you. Are you willing to pay it? See, I get a lot of people come to me and say, well, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I want to do that. But when you sit down and you have a quick talk with them, they're not ready to commit. They're not ready to give up hanging out with their boys to commit to a full-time marriage. But you want a good relationship, you want a solid relationship, but you still believe you need to be with your boys 2 or 3 times a week. Well, that doesn't work well with marriage. See, you got to be willing to pay something. See, you got to be willing to let go of something to grab something else. You can't climb if you're not constantly letting go of one wrong to grab the next. You can't. You have to release something in order to grab something else. Anyway, I hope that, somebody was able to take something away from this. And the way that I operate and the way I work is why, I've been blessed to be able to speak in front of numerous people over and over again, to share on numerous platforms on social media, to write in books, about to release book number 20. I think that's in the description as well. Got a sweepstakes going on with the book. But anyway, I've been able to do that. But believe it or not, my mindset isn't a million people. My mindset isn't 100,000 people. My mindset isn't 50,000 or even 50. My mindset is when I step up and decide I'm going to sit on this, I'm going to sit in this desk and take an hour out of my day to share something. My goal is to reach one person. Everything else is gravy. Everything else is gravy. If one person gets something out of what I've given, it was worth the time I put in. That one life changed, that one life touched is so valuable. And I'm a firm believer that if I touch a person the right way, and I don't just affect them, I infect them. I make them contagious with what I'm contagious with. I infect them with passion. I infect them with belief. I infect them with hope. I infect them with determination. I infect them with a belief that anything is possible. They don't just sit on that. They go out because they're now contagious themselves and they infect others. So I may not touch but one person today, but that person, through that person will touch many more. I'm okay with that. This is not a numbers game for me. This is an impact game for me. It's about impacting somebody at a level that it changes their life. And it all starts right here. The moment you believe that anything is possible, that is the moment of your breakthrough. Not when it happens. The moment that you come to an understanding that it can, and then you make a decision to go after it. That's your breakthrough. Everything else is just playing it out and following through. But your breakthrough is the moment your mind says it's yours. What is your mind telling you right now? What is your mind telling you right now? What is it that you wrote down on that paper a few minutes ago that you wanted out of life, or you wanted to be in life, or you wanted to accomplish in life? What is it? It's possible. It's definitely possible. Now it's up to you whether you're going to commit to it and be willing to put in what it takes to go the distance. That's the only thing. Everything else is set. Go get it. What did you write down that you're willing to do? What are you committing to the game? What are you bringing to the table? How much skin are you putting in the game? Yeah, it costs. Can't get it for free. You got to put some skin in the game. Look, for those who just want to take a little time and actually invest in themselves. And what I'm asking for you to invest in yourselves now is not even money. It's time. It's 30 minutes of your time. Well, whatever time it takes you to fill out the questionnaire in the description box or the post box, and email it to the Visionetics Institute, and the email address is there. and we will schedule a 30-minute session. It will go over 30 minutes if it's okay with you. I always give more than what I promise. So, but again, this is at no charge. This is you to sit down and talk about what's going on. Now, if you decide to hook up and we work together after that, that's on you. Won't be any pressure situations during this process. This is going to be about finding out what it is you want in life, looking at what the challenges are you facing, and trying to come up with a solution of how you can get there. And then we'll determine what we're going to do after that. If you decide to go out and do it on your own, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure you have at least one thing you walk away with that will help you to do it. If you decide to work with me, we're going to get there. That's a promise to you. I deliver. Now, with that being said, here's the challenge to you. I say this all the time, and I think I say it so much that it just becomes something that people hear or maybe don't even hear. And that is, I always say that I'm going to die on E. And what does that mean? That means I try to live every second that I'm awake. I try to live life on full so that I can die on E. And what that means is, I believe it was Miles Monroe who said that the cemetery, the graveyard is the wealthiest place in the world. You'll find uncompleted books, inventions, lectures, careers, businesses, ideas, and so much more people never ever acted on that died when they died because it was given to them, it was theirs. And see, I won't do that. I'm not going to leave one lecture undone, one life untouched, one book unwritten, one event or program set, one company not started. I'm going on full all the time. Drives my wife nuts, but it's the part of me she loves. I don't have parameters. I can, people who talk to me and actually talk to me personally know what I'm talking about. All of the stuff, like I said, just took on 2 new partners and launched company number 48 at the beginning of this year. And that has just been done because you can't put something in front of me and I like the idea and I sit up and go, well, I would love to, but that doesn't happen with me. If I want it and I see it, I don't care what the challenges are. I'm not even measuring the challenges if I look at it and I see it and I say I want it, I'm going for it. Now, I'm probably going to get the crap knocked out of me a couple of times because I'm going to turn a corner and get hit with something I wasn't expecting. But I have an understanding with myself. I'm built for this. The power of the mind to shape your reality and mark your destiny is unbelievable. With that being mentioned, I see another person that I've had the pleasure and the opportunity to work with in the past. Angel Chapel is on here. We're actually going to be doing a 3-day special starting today at 7 on her live channel on her page. You can look on my page or Angel's page and you'll see the flyer. I'm going to be sitting in on 2 of those sessions tomorrow night and Thursday night. We're going to talk about the power of the mind and media, and how what we're taking into our mind consistently, what we're allowing to be inculcated into our minds through subtle suggestions, subliminal suggestions through media, is having a massive impact on whether or not we're proactively engaging life as a people and as an individual. You got to be careful what you allow into your gates. It's real simple. You hear it all the time, but we're going to talk about it on a more in-depth level. We're going to talk about how your brain and your mind works and how it receives and processes information and how that information is stored and categorized and recalled and used in autonomous situations. Most of us are not even aware of the fact that over 80-something% of our behaviors are actually controlled by our non-conscious brain. We do things automatically. When you get up and walk, you don't think about walking, you just get up and do it. Think about when you first started though, or when you first started trying to teach your kid how to do it. How many things you do right now that are so automatic? Even when you sit down at a keyboard and type or you're texting, after a certain point, you're not thinking about it anymore. You're thinking about the words you're putting out, but you're not thinking about where that letter is. You know where it is. Your body's already trained to go get it. When you sit up and say a word, matter of fact, I tell you what, have you ever sit up and you're typing and you know what words you're using, but you're telling yourself and you're giving yourself the words as you're typing? I do it a lot with the word there. I'll say there and I'll type the wrong one and I'll go back and read it and I know that's not what I meant, but my mind grabbed the first there that was there, or maybe it grabbed the last one I used. I don't know how it did that, but it does it. That's because you're functioning on autopilot. So the more your subconscious mind and your non-conscious brain are fed, the more that information is used to make autonomous decisions. Those decisions you don't consciously make. The vast majority of our habits and our behaviors are formed that way. So if you're wondering why we are behaving in a counterproductive measure as far as advancing in our lives, a lot of it has to do with what we're intaking, what we're allowing the media to feed us. And so we're going to talk about that in depth. I'm excited about that. And hopefully you guys will tune in on it. She's going to start it off and kick it off tonight. And then I'm going to join in tomorrow night and then the night after. And we are going to we're going to make it happen. So with that being said, I am signing off. Like I always say, I'm going to down E. I'm challenging you to do the same thing. Go out and make life happen, understanding that life is not happening to you, it's responding to you. And on that note, I'm out. Peace.